Hello, this is international football commentator Derek Ray, and you're listening to the Ranks FC podcast.
Hello, welcome to Ranks FC. I'm Dean Jones, your transfer guru and your host for today, while Jack continues to enjoy himself on the honeymoon of a lifetime. You'd like to think anyway, wouldn't you? He's only getting one honeymoon in this lifetime. It sounds like he's having an absolutely great time in South America. Jack will be back soon, I promise. Thank you for sticking with me through the past couple of weeks. We will be resuming normal service very soon. But what a wild time we've been seeing in the football world. Obviously, an incredible result in the FA Cup at the weekend as non-league Macclesfield beat Crystal Palace, the FA Cup holders. That was incredible / humiliating, whichever side of that fence you're on. We had the Spanish Super Cup in Saudi Arabia as Barcelona won 3-2 against Real Madrid. AFCON has been really enjoyable. I didn't jump on board until the quarter-final stage, but I did enjoy those, and we now have the semi-finals opening up. So we're going to have a great finale to that competition. Of course, we have the transfer window open, which has been busy, and we also have a chaotic manager market. Now, in the main segment today, we are talking about disastrous moments mid-season. So I'm going to be ranking 5 teams in that sense. But right now, I just want to reflect on where we actually sit with decisions that big clubs are making. And it's just got me scratching my head because Chelsea, Man United and Real Madrid all have worse coaches now than they did before. Like when we got to the turn of the year, we had Enzo Maresca, we had Amorim, we had Xabi Alonso, right? And now at Chelsea, you've got Liam Rosenior in charge, who's not as good as Enzo Maresca. We've got Michael Carrick now in charge of Man United, and he's not as good as Ruben Amorim. And you've got Arbeloa in charge now at Real Madrid, because Alonso's he's lost his job. They say mutual, but I don't think it is. And I'm telling you, Arbeloa surely isn't as good as Xabi Alonso. Between those 3 managers, not only have they lost their jobs, but you're talking about millions of pounds, euros, whatever, compensation paid to get rid of them. To do what? To do what? It's very strange. Now, look, Carrick and Arbeloa may not end up being the answers for their team. Maybe Rosenior isn't either for Chelsea, despite the long-term contract that he's signed. But what's clear is that even if we look to the future, and Man United, we will now see that discussion of what happens long term for them, etc. There just aren't any standout candidates anymore. Like, where have all the elite bosses gone? It feels like they're drying up. Like, you've got Pep Guardiola at Man City still. Fine. You've got Jurgen Klopp, who's actually being linked long-term now with the Real Madrid job. Okay, there's that. But then you've got the likes of Ancelotti and Mourinho, who are kind of fading out of the game now. And I just don't know what happens next. What's the next generation of great bosses? Like, obviously there are Tuchels and there are Nagelsmann and Pochettino, but is that what these clubs have to wait for? Do they have to wait for their nations to be eliminated from the World Cup so they can go an appointment? I'm not sure. Like, when these managerial sackings happen, it doesn't ever feel like it's an improvement. And I think that this is where we are. Look at Enzo Maresca. He won the Club World Cup. Literally won this big trophy, and Chelsea can now put out these banners saying champions of the world, world champions. But he's gone now. United sacked Amorim at a time when the team were actually, look, they weren't setting the world alight, but they actually had a philosophy and they were getting better. They were. Like, we knew the way that they wanted to play. They were waiting to get all the players into the right positions at the right time to be able to do it. So we're waiting for the players back from AFCON, the players back from injury, 2 more new signings, and then they should have had their full team under Amorim. There's no patience involved. And as soon as Amorim starts to show his frustration, the result isn't to placate him, and they get rid of him. And now they start all over again. I hear a lot about at clubs now when I'm reporting on managerial news and like who's going to be the next boss for this club or that club, and it's like, well, these agents are advising them to do this. Well, of course they are, because they're going to make money out of it. Of course they're going to want you to take their clients in or their mates' clients in. And look, Michael Carrick is actually a good coach. I've heard good things about him, and he might actually do a decent job with this United team in a different shape, and giving some figures within the squad setup a new lease of life. But it just feels like nobody's got the patience anymore. Look, Liverpool, somebody mentioned this on our Patreon this week. Maybe they deserve some credit for actually sticking with Arne Slot right now, because the trend is to just get rid of someone as soon as they're doing badly. But Liverpool are sticking by him. Now, obviously, because of the influence of social media, the will from fans to blame the boss, to demand change, it brings a sense of stress and closure to every situation. As soon as your team goes on a bad run, it's like, get rid of him, change it up. And I just think that if you stick with Maresca or Amorim, or if you stick with Alonso, you end up with better results eventually, surely. And yes, there'll be clashes in the boardroom. Like, that happens surely in any business. Surely it's happened in football forever. And I just think that there needs to be a change of view from these ownerships over how they actually build a team that's ready for success. As I say, Man City, they've had Guardiola for this period, and obviously like it's fallen away a little bit recently, but they're still right in there in the Premier League race, and we're seeing them winning the Carabao Cup, and they're still in the Champions League and doing well, and Pep's fine. And you look at Arsenal, and they stuck by Arteta through tough times, and now they're reaping the benefits of that because it's his team and his club, if you like, and he feels confident in his position. And that's where a boss needs to get to, I think. You know, the reason that Maresca's probably looking over his shoulder for another job is because he doesn't feel fully safe at Chelsea. The reason that Amorim's eventually lost focus at Man United, I guess, is because he doesn't believe that there's true faith in him. And they're probably both right. It's just all short-termism these days rather than long-term planning and having faith in what you've actually signed up to. And so, yeah, I just find it very strange. But, hey, here we are. Chelsea, Man United, Real Madrid, all embarking on new journeys. I know often we do things we love in this section. I will say, just for 1 minute, talk about Antoine Semenyo, because since he completed his move to Manchester City, I've seen so much more of this guy, and what a great person he seems to be, and what a great personality he is. And, you know, obviously I don't follow Bournemouth that closely, and I haven't been following their media channels, but I haven't seen much of Semenyo. I haven't seen much of him as a profile. And that is going to grow significantly, because already in the past few days, I've seen loads about him. I've seen about all the charity work he does and the community work he's been doing in Bournemouth. I've seen videos from him, from his friends, showing like his personality and how bubbly he is and how funny he is. And even like, you know, somebody asked him about his name Antoine, and he's like, nobody calls me, I don't want anybody to call me Antoine. Call me Ant, or call me Tony. But Antoine's like my mum talking to me. And it's funny because often we just get so wrapped up in the game and reporting on it and talking about it with the way that it's spelled out to us that we don't really think about like the person and the human aspects of it. And I never really considered to call him Tony Semenyo, but maybe I will from now on. He certainly had a nice start to his Manchester City career. He scored in the 10-1 win at the weekend in the FA Cup, and he's just scored in the 2-0 Carabao Cup win at Newcastle. So 2 games, 2 goals so far for Tony Semenyo. And what makes me laugh too is I've been reading all this fantasy Premier League stuff about, right, who are we going to replace Semenyo with? Who's our replacement? We've got to get Semenyo out now because we're not sure about his minutes. Who should we get in? It's like, we'll just stick with Semenyo. He can be your guy. You can trust him. Seriously, you can. Just stay with Semenyo. By the way, in FPL, I'm absolutely flying, people. I'm 8,000 in the world. 8,000 in the world. Give me a pat on the back if you see me out there. Right, I'm going to be back in the second part where we get stuck into the main ranking. See you soon. Welcome back to Ranks FC, and I am going to go through some disastrous mid-season situations that we have been seeing opening up. And I'm going to rank them from 5 down to 1. And at number 5, you might be surprised at the number 5, but it's Real Madrid. Now, look, changing manager at this stage is never ideal, right? And the fallout from the Spanish Super Cup defeat is certainly not ideal, with Alonso leaving his job and Arbeloa coming in and all the media reports around it. It's not good. But it could be worse, because Real Madrid are second in La Liga. They're 7th in the Champions League table. So I just think we have to put this into some perspective, compared at least to the other teams that I'm going to be talking about in this section that have been having a bad season. Now, I think one of the most alarming things, from my perspective anyway, when you look at Real Madrid, is the lack of identity and the existence of player power. I don't think anyone else in the world can truly understand what Xabi Alonso's had to go through in that sense. The team build is a concern, no doubt about that, and Alonso himself wanted a central midfielder to come into this team. He didn't really need or want a player like Mastantuono to come in. He's a flair player he didn't really need. It was another headache, another player to wedge in somehow to his attack and help grow as a player. What he needed was a midfielder. We talked on Patreon this week about the fact that Zubimendi would have given him something different, maybe helped him play in the way that he wanted to play. But the friction has extended from the team to the media as well. You would have probably seen on Tuesday that Jude Bellingham has reacted to the news headlines around the story from the fallout of Alonso leaving. He's literally gone out of his way to say that until now I've let far too many of these slide, always hoping the truth will come to light in its own time. But honestly, what a load of Truly, I feel sorry for the people that hang on to every word of these clowns and their sources. Do not believe everything you read. Every now and then, these lot need to be held accountable for spreading this kind of damaging misinformation for clicks and added controversy. Now, Bellingham was highlighted in some areas of the media for being one of the players that was not behind Alonso, and it's part of numerous reports, particularly high-profile ones, even the likes of The Athletic, and I think they've got to Jude Bellingham. There was one report I saw that said that the new and modern methods introduced by Alonso and his coaching staff were not welcomed by Real Madrid's veteran players. They were asked to press harder, put in more tactical effort, show greater discipline. In the run-up to the Olympiacos match, Alonso sought to boost the team's spirit. Among other things he did was to reduce the reliance on video analysis that the team had been required to follow. So there's all these different things that have been added up. I will always hear that there are players that don't like a manager, players that believe that they're going in the wrong direction. And I think that the scenes we saw at the end of the Super Cup match when Mbappe was telling his teammates to go against what Alonso was telling them to do in terms of giving Barca a guard of honour, I think that's disgraceful, to be honest with you. But also it just shows that the manager hasn't got any control over his team. And that's just kind of outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. The Vinicius Junior narrative hasn't been good either, like the way that's played out publicly, and he'll just walk off the pitch or he'll snub him. I haven't liked any of that. Ultimately, I think it's clear that this is a team that just cannot be coached, and that Carlo Ancelotti had it right all along. Like, you can't coach them. They've got good positions. They'll do whatever they want to do. Just let them do it. Just pick the best 11 that you can. It's a bit like picking a five-a-side team. Get 5 good lads together and they'll probably win. Ultimately, it won't take too much for Madrid to turn around their season, because the team just thrives on vibes and egos. And if Arbeloa can find a way to get things going their way again, then there's a chance that the happiness returns and they actually have a good end to the season. Who knows? They might even catch Barcelona. I wouldn't rule it out. At the moment, it does look disastrous. It doesn't look good from the outside. It can't be good to be inside it either right now. But the reason it's at number 5 is because I feel like this is a moment that Real Madrid can overcome, and that even in those tough moments, like, losing to Barcelona and then losing your coach, it might not end up necessarily being the end of the world for what their season counts for. Let's move on to number 4, where I have Chelsea. And again, the reason I have Chelsea at 4 is because I think the season could yet still end reasonably successfully. Now, the club's setup is obviously unconventional. The type of leadership from the top is unusual. The amount of money that they've been spending and the types of players that they've been hoarding is strange. But they're not in the worst position in the world to still go on and have a good second half of the season. Now, Liam Rosinha, the new boss, is untested at this level. But it doesn't mean he can't achieve something. Maybe he does the Roberto Di Matteo. He won the Champions League against all odds, really, when he came into the role. Internally, the place is a mess. But I also think that the condition of the actual squad is what's more likely to hold them back than anything else right now. The stress put on their bodies across the course of 2025 with a relentless schedule is going to be really hard to overcome. So Liam Rosinha is going to have his work cut out, I think, in terms of trying to manage that. It's obviously well recorded that Chelsea are keeping an eye on the minutes of players, and that Maresca had somebody watching over his shoulder, quite literally on the dugout from the medical team, to make sure that he was taking players off at the right stages of games, which again is unconventional. Doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, as it's protecting the player. Chelsea are 8th in the Premier League, but they're 4 points off of 4th place, so Champions League qualification still very possible in that sense. They've obviously slid off a bit from the start of the season when I was wondering if they might have a push for the title. They won 5-1 in the FA Cup at the weekend, so that's a competition they are capable of winning. They've got Hull City in the next round, definitely can win that game. The Champions League is slightly precarious because they're not in the safest of positions to qualify automatically for the next phase, but they got Paphos next. I think they'll be fine. I'm obviously recording this before the Carabao Cup semi-final against Arsenal, so I can't make any reading on which way that's gone. I'll assume that they suffer a narrow defeat. Maybe they get a result out of it, though. Who knows? Rosinha doesn't really have anything to fear in this job right now. He's got a lot to gain, in fact, I think. But obviously this all runs deeper than just what's going on in the team, and there's club protests already against Egbali. There's a high level of animosity that exists, and frustration, in fact. And it's going to be the manager's slash head coach, whatever we call him these days, his job to bring unity to the situation. I think Maresca had actually started to find some of that, across the opening stages of the season. There were games when Stamford Bridge seemed really noisy, and I was like, do you know what? It looks like they're getting their club back here, and they really liked Maresca for a bit, but then he lost his focus at the end of the year, lost his job. But I think there are elements of this team that the fan base are trying to like. I just don't think they like the whole direction of the way it's been run and the way they've got to this moment. So yeah, we'll see. After spending billions of pounds, they've sacked another manager. They don't know if they're going to win a trophy after looking in a reasonable shape to do so early on in the season. Their transfer strategy continues to be all over the place. sometimes looks good, sometimes looks like they're more concerned about what's happening in 7 years' time rather than right now. Still handing out ridiculous long-term contracts. So it's a strange old place, Chelsea. And I do think that this moment can be categorised as a bit of a disaster, but only worth being at number 4 on this list. At number 3, I'm going to choose Manchester United. Did you think they'd be number 1? Nah. I don't think it's bad enough. I don't. Carrick's at the wheel. I saw someone refer to him as car wreck instead of Carrick. Get it? I think he might actually do okay. I don't think it will be a car wreck, to be honest. Carrick's a really good coach. He understands Man United. I think it's the right decision to go for him instead of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think Carrick would like a longer-term role at Man United. I just don't think he will want to be the manager as such. He'll probably just want to be like assistant or one of the coaches. I think that'll probably suit him. If Ole had done well, then obviously you've got the pressure of giving him the job again. It's ridiculous to consider that Solskjaer could actually come back into this. Like, they got rid of him for a reason. Like, you've got to draw a line under it. You know, even if you think it was the wrong decision, like, you can't go back to it as far as I'm concerned. I think the Amorim situation really was a disaster. I think United have made a big mistake in allowing it to get to that point. I think they'd have been better off finding a way that they could all get along. And I think it would have been very nice to actually deliver the midfielder that he'd been crying out for since the start of the season, and that he thought he would be getting. And once it began to become clear that that wasn't going to happen, and they were questioning his tactics, and he's thinking, hang on, you're fine to question me. I want to question you, because where are my signings? Where is the midfielder? Like, don't worry about what I'm doing. Like, the reason, we're not higher in the league is because I don't have the personnel to do it. And you knew when I came into this job what my tactical plan was and what my vision was. So why are you now, however many months in, 18 months, whatever it is, not even, starting to question that? We're either going with it long term or we're not doing it at all. And in the meantime, your job, and he's talking to Wilcox and Vivell, Barada's got to be held accountable to. Like, what are you guys doing? How are you going about making sure that we get, you've gone publicly and said we've got to win the league by 2028. What are you guys doing? Like, you've signed me Benjamin Šeško, who I didn't actually want. I wanted Osimhen, and seeing him recently, I'd rather have had Osimhen. Just pay the extra money for his wages. I told you I wanted a DM. I've wanted Baleba. Could have got him. If you'd have put out the money, we could have got him. We wouldn't be in this position. I'll admit, I think Baleba was overpriced and probably still is, but that's what Amorim wanted. At least find somebody, find an alternative. Don't just say, he's not available, Wharton's not available, Anderson's not available. It's not good enough. Your job is to go out and find players. Man United have to make the Champions League this season. And I think under Amorim, they actually would have made it. It doesn't matter now, does it? But look, ultimately, missing out on Europe again really would start to become a disaster, both financially and in a sporting sense. It would affect transfers and stuff like that, revenue, all the things. And I think that is a long-term problem. The rebuild is failing ultimately, and that's why this is a disaster. I have real doubts about the stadium plans. They're out of the FA Cup now. They lost at the weekend. They're out of the Carabao Cup. They're currently 7th in the league, so they're still within touching distance there of being able to do something. And maybe Michael Carrick can do it. He's manager until the end of the season, and maybe he manages to steer this team into those positions. But at the same time now, Man United have got the job of finding a permanent manager, and that will overshadow everything, because we probably from next week will start getting the steer on who it's going to be. Is it Glasner? Is it Alonso? Is it Southgate? Who's it going to be? And that's going to go on and on now until May, June, July, whenever it is they actually make a decision. That's a disaster. Ineos are not having a good time of things here. And I don't think really, considering all the promises that Jim Ratcliffe made when he came in and how they tried to put all the good PR spin on everything, I just think it's heading the same way as normal. It's time for them to step up. They need to make signings. They need to change the vibes of this club very quickly and prove that they are better than what came before. Be very interesting to see how Michael Carrick does in this job. Manchester United play against Man City at the weekend. Maybe there's a bounce back. Maybe there is an effect here from Carrick going into the job where there's very little expected of United in this fixture. But he'll already know how he's lining up for that game. He's got his tactical setup. People that have seen him close up at Middlesbrough tell me that they actually think he'll do pretty well in this job if he's able to stick to his principles and has the players available to stick into the roles. I think Cunha will do pretty well for him, for example. Interesting to see how Kobbie Mainoo does. But yeah, Man United definitely have to be considered to be having a disastrous season yet again as we get to the halfway stage. But at least it's improved on last year, right? At number 2, it was tough, but I've gone for Tottenham at number 2. Tottenham fans will argue they should be number 1, I'm sure. Let's look at it, shall we? They are down to 14th in the Premier League right now. Just got dumped out of the FA Cup to Aston Villa. All their fans will have expected to lose that game. I saw there was some good images going around. Tottenham put out the image, next game, next match, whatever. And the graphic goes out and it's got the Aston Villa. It just says next loss. Fans are just right. Next loss, Aston Villa on Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Tottenham are 11th in the Champions League, so they've got a decent chance of making it through that. They've got Dortmund and Frankfurt coming up. Obviously, we've got the whole problem with Thomas Frank, and the jury's out on him. Look, this Tottenham squad, player by player, unfortunately for him, is getting worse. I'm struggling to find single players that are improving under Thomas Frank. I think like Van der Ven's had a good season, but is that because of Thomas Frank, or is it because he just feels he needs to go an extra mile to put in extra yards, extra determination? I think probably it's more down to that than anything he's getting from Thomas Frank. Obviously, a lot of Tottenham fans want him gone now as the manager. They just want to cut their losses at this point, send him packing the same way that Ange Postecoglou went. But yeah, look, one of the reasons that I think Tottenham are having a more disastrous season than almost any other club in the world right now is they are suffering complete head loss. Everyone is suffering. Management, fans, players, everyone's losing the plot. Now, Thomas Frank's putting on a brave face, but you can see how stressed he is, right? The players are fighting on the pitch. Like, you see Palhinha, I don't mind him having, falling out with the other team and pushing. It's all part of the combative, competitive nature of the sport. But then you get the other side of it, players ignoring their manager, players confronting fans, fans turning on the management and the players. It's a really poisonous atmosphere at times, and it's difficult to turn around such bad vibes. I really don't know what it will take for everybody to suddenly come on side with the entire project. The next 2 league games are West Ham and Burnley, so there's an opportunity there to start the change of vibe. They've signed Sousa as the left-sided defender. They're getting Conor Gallagher through the door. I'm told they will sign an exciting forward. I've been told that previously, and on the back of them agreeing the deal for Conor Gallagher, I was told there's more to come, and the fan base should be excited. But can they trust him? Can they trust him to get these deals over the line? It looked like Gallagher was going to Aston Villa at 1 minute. They didn't get Gibbs White done, or Eze, Semenyo. So you can't fully trust them that they're going to do that anyway, even if they do have an ambitious target in sight. I think things with Tottenham have got almost as bad as it can get. But the blessing is that they're not going to be relegated. And I mean, if I'm saying that, then you know they're having a bad season. The blessing for Tottenham is that the bottom 3 have been cut adrift. And however bad things get for Tottenham from here, they're not going to be going down this season. So if that's a positive, then yeah, there's troubled times going on. It leads me quite nicely onto my number one, which is West Ham United, because they truly are having a disastrous season. The manager, Nuno, is unconvincing. In the last couple of days, we've discovered that Lucas Paqueta, one of their star players, wants to leave again. He wants to go back to Brazil, and West Ham want to block that. You know, he wanted to go in the summer, and he managed to get around that because he ended up staying. The fan base ended up taking his side. But trust me, he was close to going. They signed 2 strikers that are probably not going to score enough goals. The fans are turning on the board. They hate their own stadium. A lot of them actually stopped going to games at the moment at West Ham. They do pull out occasional performances, occasional results, but I don't see enough of a trend existing or opening up that suggests that West Ham are going to get through this. I truly do think that this team are going down. They're 7 points adrift right now, and this team is heading for relegation. They won a European trophy in 2023, and the stadium that they are in is supposed to be a world-class venue. Yet here they are, now playing in front of a half-empty stadium and heading for the championship. Like, that's a really bad 2.5 years, isn't it? Over that period, of course, as well, lost Declan Rice, and now the worry will be, well, okay, we can accept Rice going, but don't let Jarrod Bowen go. He might, because Jarrod Bowen is not going to be playing in the Championship for West Ham United. West Ham are trying to stop Paqueta from going, and they might win that battle. They might force Paqueta to stay right now, especially if Flamengo don't put up a high enough offer to sign him, which they probably won't because they don't probably have the cash to entice West Ham into a sale. But if Paqueta was to get his way, then it would lead the way for others to be like, I don't really fancy being here either. Now, Jarrod Bowen's been very loyal to the cause, and I think he will stay for now. But there's no way Jarrod Bowen could go and play in the Championship. So he would leave if they go down. So again, mid-season crisis, mid-season disaster is exactly what we're looking at here. There's protests, there's bad board decisions, there's relegation. It truly is a nightmare situation. Oh, I'm sorry to do that to you. If you're a West Ham fan and you just had to listen to that bit there, I'm sorry, but I'm struggling to give you hope. You know, Wolves obviously like guaranteed relegation. I haven't put them in the ranking, but West Ham, like, maybe I'm considering you a big club here. And what I've done is I've looked for the biggest clubs that are having disastrous seasons. And, you know, I could look around Europe and point out flaws in, I don't know, Leipzig or AC Milan or Juventus and talk about why I feel like they're not fulfilling what they're capable of, what they should, the expectations should be of those teams, whether it be in European competition or in domestic leagues. But ultimately, I don't think any of it is as bad as what I've just talked about there across those 5 clubs. Join me again in the third section because we're going to have a bit more fun. Welcome to the final part of Ranks FC today. Thanks for sticking with me. I do really appreciate it. And I promise you, Jack will be back next week. I thought I'd go old school here. I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw in a nonsense ranking, a little reward for those people that have stuck with us for the whole episode today. And a question that I keep getting on my Instagram DMs, on Patreon messages, when we open things up to be a bit more vague, is tell us about your life in San Diego. Tell us about what's good, what's bad. So I thought, all right, then I'll give you a best and worst of what it's like to live in San Diego now that I'm 18 months in over here in California. So I'll start with the best 3 things that I've found about living in San Diego. And at number 3, it's been San Diego FC, you know. It's been having a football team to go and watch. If I didn't have that, I think I would find it a lot more difficult to be here. And I didn't realise quite how much I needed it. When I first moved here, San Diego FC weren't up and running. Like they'd got the green light to become the next MLS franchise, but they'd never played a game. They didn't have any players. And so in February last year, they played their first games and they've just had their first season. So it's been literally coming in to day one being a fan, and I'm not left behind. I'm right here and I'm right in it. And football really matters on so many levels. One, yes, I just love watching football. Two, yeah, I love taking my kids to football, but it's really also a form of escapism, and sometimes it's not the actual football I necessarily even look forward to. It's the fact that you are in a different environment, an environment I love anyway. Just being around football just makes me feel better, whether I'm playing five-a-side, whether I'm watching a local game, whether I'm watching, I don't know, a Champions League final, whatever. It just makes me feel good if there's football going on around. So that's good, but the whole environment and the people that I've met just give me a buzz that I can't get out of anything else. And obviously, not being able to go to Fulham anymore was quite a big thing. But I actually haven't missed Fulham itself as much as I thought I would, and as much as I probably would have if San Diego FC didn't exist. I've made some good friends here. Then we all go to the games together, and it's just great. It's like a form of therapy, I think, going to football. You see a lot of people joining men's clubs these days or trying to find ways to socialise better. And I genuinely don't know of personally any better way than just going to football with your mates. Even not close mates, just going around with people that you can just loosely chat to, watch the game with, maybe have a beer with before or during or after. You can't beat it. And SDFC had an absolute banging season. Got some really good players. The atmosphere was unbelievable. I've met a lot of you lot at the games as well. Thanks to everybody that's stopped and said hello to me over the course of the past year. If you're attached to San Diego FC, whether you're at the games or even you're the guy that works in the club shop that came up to me the other day and asked if I was Dean from Ranks FC. Yes, thank you for everyone that listened. But yeah, San Diego FC has definitely been one of the best things about being here. Now, moving on to number two, it would be the things to do and the places to go, because honestly, the list is endless. And even after all this time, and I've had a lot of visitors out here already, whether it was my friends and family from England or Taylor's friends and family from Michigan or Chicago or whatever. There's a lot of people that have come down, and we've got our staple places to go, but there's still so much we haven't seen. And I think, look, my favourite places would be Mission Beach and Mission Bay, just unbelievable places that make you feel good. The bay is tranquil and calm, and you can go for a walk or run or a bike ride, and just your mind just frees. Or you go along the beach there, and you've got the beachfront and the promenade, or the boardwalk, I guess they would say in America rather than promenade. That's probably a bit English of me. It's just it's buzzy along there. You've got people skateboarding, biking, they got music on. There's so many different characters that go along there. So I love all of Mission Bay and Mission Beach. That is unbelievable. But the downtown is good here. We've got all sorts of little areas of good bars. We've got Old Town, which is old Mexican vibes from buildings from way back in the day. You've got Coronado, which is unbelievably beautiful and extremely expensive. There's just so much to see and do here. You can go to SeaWorld, you can go to Legoland. There's indoor soccer. I said soccer. You can go to a hockey game. You can go I'm going to watch lacrosse in a couple of weeks. The San Diego lacrosse team I'm going to go and watch. You can go and watch the college teams. So there's just a never-ending number of things to do. And the pizza's been really good too. So that's a massive bonus. But the number one thing, obviously, is just the sun. The weather is just absolutely unbelievable. And I can't explain, what that adds to your life. obviously, like living in England, you don't expect this, and you expect the cold and rain and the seasons and all the rest of it, and that's fine. We have seasons in San Diego. People don't think we do. We absolutely do. It's just not as extreme, and we just happen to have beautiful weather in between. Like right now, I am sat with sunshine pouring through the window. It's 74 degrees, which in Celsius is like 23 degrees. It's like a beautiful day. It's like an early summer's day. And it's January. But it's genuinely glorious. It's one of the nicest days you can imagine. But when the sun sets at like 4:35 today, the temperature will drop and it's suddenly cold. And I'm not saying freezing cold, of course it's not, but like everything drops. The house gets cold because we don't have proper insulation or heating out here. But the sun, it changes your mood, it changes the feeling of your day, and it just makes more things possible as well, just getting outside more often. So I know it's a bit cliche that California is nice because of the sunshine, but honestly, like, I can't explain enough just how cool it is to have so much sun. But okay, let's flip it for a second, and it can't always be great, right? And it's not. Like, it's still like a day-to-day life that's like being anywhere else. I've still got kids to deal with. We've got the kids to school and their tantrums and their moods, and we have to work and all these things, these terrible things that we all have to deal with, right? But honestly, at number 3 of the worst things about living in San Diego is that nobody uses WhatsApp. What's going on? I can't really get my head around this, and I think it's a thing like general across America. I don't even think it's just a San Diego thing, but obviously I can't tell you whether that's true or not because I only lived here. But honestly, like, people just have all these text groups, and I'll be in a text group with, say, 6 dads, and then suddenly a 7th dad is coming to whatever it is that we're going to. So we have to set up a whole new text group to add the other person. So just bring him in here. Like, could you just get WhatsApp? And a couple, literally 1 or 2 of the people already had WhatsApp. I've managed to get a couple of people to get it because I was like, I just don't want to talk to you on text message. WhatsApp is so easy. And I've even seen, like, now on TV, we've actually got ads coming on to get people to download WhatsApp. And I just can't believe it. In England, everybody communicates by WhatsApp. In my world, anyway. Like, I've always communicated by WhatsApp. All my work these days is done over WhatsApp in terms of, obviously in my transfer world, I've got a lot of communicating to do with people to get stories, to liaise about the type of stories I should be getting, blah, 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 blah. And it's all on WhatsApp. Like, barely ever do I struggle to get hold of somebody because they're not on WhatsApp. And out here, nobody's got it. Really, really annoys me because WhatsApp is 10 times better than text messaging or iMessage, whatever it is. And okay, like part of the problem is not everybody has an iPhone. So like, if you get a mixed group, some people got iPhones, some people haven't, and it makes it even more complicated. I'm just get WhatsApp, and we haven't got this problem. Anyway, the next thing is the craft beer scene. And this is a tough one because this is a love-hate thing, because actually the beers themselves are very good. Like, the craft beer scene actually in San Diego is great, but I've just got a couple of real issues with it. One is I feel like it's a bit overpriced. And I can kind of bite the bullet on it. I still think that, going to a sporting event and paying $20 for a beer is obscene. And I can't really accept it, but I'm having to if I want to drink. I don't drink that much these days, to be honest. But if I want to drink, I've got to accept that if I'm at an event, it's going to be $20. But even if you're out and about, you're looking at probably $10 for a beer. It's not that, though. It's the strength of these beers that I like. In England, I like a neck oil or something like that, right? And you're looking at 5.5%. I've really struggled to find a nice, like, IPA or whatever that's of 5.5% or below, because that's kind of what I like. I like that level of drinking. All the ones I like 7.5. There was one I had one night. I had 2 drinks. Turned out they were 8% each. That was me done. I was cooked. Absolutely ridiculous. So, I mean, on one hand, I guess it's been good because I'm barely drinking these days. It's because of that. The combination of the pricing and the strength of it, because I can't handle even a few beers now because the strength of it leaves me with a hangover. And I can't be hungover. I'm too busy. So, yeah, maybe it's good for my health in the long run. But just make some more beers that are 5.5% and under. Please, if you're listening and you've got a San Diego brewery, just do it. Luckily, I have found 1 or 2. So I do go in search of those when I need to. Number 1, the worst thing about San Diego is the pricing, to be honest. It's insane. They call it sunshine tax. They say, well, if you want to live here, you've got to pay for what you live in, the conditions you're living in. And look, I live in a smaller house. The house isn't as nice as the one I had in England. It's way more expensive than the one I have in England. It's double the price or something. I don't know. But it's not just like housing. It's like a loaf of bread might be like a £5. And I'm like, why? Where's the $1 loaves of bread? Like in England, I'm sure you can get a loaf of bread for £1. Like nothing here is $1. Why? Nothing's $1. Go to a dollar store. Nothing's $1. Not really. You can't find a good lunch. Like, talked about it many times, like a meal deal in England. Absolutely spot on. It might be £3.50, might be a £5, right? But you get your sandwich, you get your packet of crisps, packet of chips, and your drink, which could be a coffee, could be anything, orange juice, water, Coke, whatever, right? You get that in England, £5, done, sorts me out. Doesn't exist. We don't have that. Like, I went around the other day looking for a meal deal. They just don't exist. You can get like a Subway, about $8. Still not the same because you're not getting the deal. Panera out here, sometimes you can get a good deal on the app. And that's the other thing. Apps are an absolute must-have out here. There's absolutely no bargains to be had unless you've got the app for wherever you're going. You might be paying twice the price. A Domino's here is like $8 for a large pizza with the app, $23 without the app. I'm like, are you absolutely insane? Like, what are you doing? I heard someone go into the store the other day and they like ordered a large pizza like at the counter. It was just like a large pepperoni. It was like $22 or whatever. He paid it. And I felt bad. I should have said, hang on, mate, stop what you're doing right now. Get the app on your phone and you'll get that for literally $8.99 or something. They should tell them that. Unbelievable. There you go. I've managed to have a little moan up. Anyway, I can save you guys some money right now. Thank you for sticking with us through this episode. And look, if you've come this far, then I think you deserve a reward because you've got great dedication. And one of our listeners has a special deal for all of you. If you are looking to get in better shape and better health, then Ben, one of our long-time Rank Squad members, is offering a special offer on his home personal training plans. Now, I worked with Ben on this last year. It was great. He's got the workout plans. He's got the eating plans. He'll do video calls to talk you through it. He's constantly messaging with any questions. There's an app that you use to track your workouts. It keeps you in the rhythm of doing it. You feel bad if you miss one, which is great because that's what you want. And you'll get a good transformation from Ben pretty quickly. And he is offering a special deal of £100 off right now, which is really good, Val. And you need to go and give him a follow. So get on Instagram, go to the Beginners Club, but without the E. So it's TH Beginners Club on Instagram. Get on there, give him a follow. And if you want to join up with Ben, if you want to get fitter and healthier in the new year, send him a DM. Tell him you were sent by the Rank Squad and he should be able to sort you out. Obviously, he's only got a certain amount of places every time. Busy lad. But I highly recommend it. And we have had a lot. I know he's had a lot of Rank Squad members signing up. We've done this with the Patreon before, and people signed up from there. I thought, you know what, I'm going to open it up. I've just done a few shows a week on my own, and I've been chatting to Ben recently, and I said, you know what, mate, I'm going to throw it into the main episode for you because it'd be a lovely way for me to round it off. So there we are. There we go. So shouts out to him. Shouts out to you guys. And by the way, please do come over to the Patreon. We've had good fun over there. We always do, but while Jack's gone, I've kind of like just done my own thing, and I've been doing some shorter podcasts, like 20, 30-minute hits on my raw reactions to stuff, some transfer stuff. We did a big thing on the Barcelona-Madrid game, and then Alonso getting sacked, so we did a whole episode on that. Go over there. You can get a free trial. It's only $5 a month anyway. Come and support your old mates, Dean and Jack. We would really, really appreciate it for the new year to keep this thing ticking along. Listen, thanks to all of you for supporting us, no matter how you do it. Just listening to us is a great privilege for us. Next week, we'll be back to the normal old routine, and you'll be hearing from our old mate Jack as he gets back from his travels across South America. You take care of yourselves, Rank Squad. Cheers.